I've often thought about what would the perfect player look like.
It might play the game in a completely different way from the way that we play it.
As a chess player, you want to know more about chess, you want to get deeper, and there is so much still to learn.
AlphaZero played a match against Stockfish, which was the strongest computer that we all knew, and it won the match.
And all of a sudden I thought, wow,
does this really work? How does it know how to do it?
I started thinking, oh, it's quite interesting. And there's just a couple of games that went bang.
And these were very exciting games, very attacking games, giving pawns away right at the early stages of the game. The other computers were thinking, well, that's too early.
AlphaZero doesn't have any rules. It learns through experience.
Really didn't think there was room for this huge attacking style, never in my wildest dreams.
There's even more depth than we thought in chess.
It's like discovering the secret notebooks of some great player from the past.
It explains AlphaZero's strategies.
How does AlphaZero think? AlphaZero blows apart what traditional engines are doing. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this stream, which we are dealing with just after Christmas, just catching up, round 4 of the Women's Championship. So welcome, Natasha.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Matthew. And today we are looking at the Women's Round 4. We've got some good games lined up. So on top board, we have Grandmaster Arakhamia Grant against Photo Chess Maria Emelianova. We then have board 2 Zoe Varney against May Ketevan. And on board 3, we'll be following Tashika Aurora against Lara Putar. And on board 4, an all-junior match of Nina Pert against Imogen Dyson. So lots of action today.
Indeed. So it was just to recap on what's happened up till now. The big matchup was just before Christmas, whilst we were dressed up in Christmas clothes and munching mince pies. Ketevan Arakhamia Grant defeated Dagne Ciuskyte with black in a very powerful game, actually. Played the opening better and then sacrificed a piece to get a mating attack at the end. So that was very impressive, and that's obviously was a big matchup. Number 1 seed beating the number 2 seed. So this time we've got Ketevan is out there on her own with 3. We've got 2 players on 2.5. That's Maria Emelianova, Photo Chess, who she's playing today, and Zoe Varney on 2.5, who survived a very dodgy position against Imogen Dyson to hold a draw. And there's a number of players like Imogen on 2, and so still quite close, but obviously Ketevan really forging out in front at the moment, as you'd expect, with because she is clearly I think the strongest player in this field. So lots to look forward to there. I hope everyone's had a good Christmas. And as sort of
back refreshed, ready for more chess.
Back for action, indeed. So let's have a look how it's going. I mean, if the stream's going okay, can anyone let us know? That would be really great. I mean, Natasha, can you sort of is the stream all right? We haven't got any...
Yes. All looking good.
Great. We haven't got any post-Christmas.
I'm going to put the sound on for a second and then switch it off again. Just
fantastic.
All looking good. Yeah, that seems to be all working.
Fantastic. Okay, so we are going to it's 5 minutes to just switch to the limit in the board. But so what opening are you expecting today from Ketevan against Maria?
Oh, let's see. So what I would like to see, I would like to see something quite sharp. I think maybe an E4 C5. I would like to see a Sicilian.
Yeah, I think that's probably quite likely actually, because Ketevan is really a 1E4 player. And, well, Maria, we've seen her on the black side of a couple of close Sicilians so far. So she's obviously a 1C5 player. So I think an open Sicilian could be your dream could come true there, Natasha.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's going to be quite interesting. I was quite looking forward to Nina Pert against Imogen Dyson, two promising juniors who've performed very, very well. I think, yeah, I think Nina was thinking back to round 3. She was a little bit lucky there because just for she played a very risky opening, and just for one move out of the opening was, I think, completely lost actually. But got back and won a good game. So well, whole.
So what opening are you expecting on board 2?
Zoe Varney. Yes. Let me have a look. Zoe's a 1E4 player. We saw her playing a C3 Sicilian against Matthew Woodsworth in the Open qualifier, because of course she's playing. Zoe's one of the people who's playing lots and lots of chess. Multiple events there. So May Ketevan, I'm trying to remember. We've seen a number of games of hers. I can't remember what she plays as black. So that's going to have to be a surprise. But Zoe seemed got a good position against Matthew Woodsworth, but and was actually equal for a very long time until just at the end. Matthew tricked Zoe by trapping her bishop in the corner. So but we're going to see. We're going to see how that all goes. Okay, I think I'm going to share my screen, just get that done, and then application window, live chess, there we are. And we've got our board, and I'll make us just a little bit smaller, and we should be good to go. 12:57, have a good Christmas, Natasha.
Yes, very nice, thank you. How was yours?
Not too bad. A little bit of a strange Christmas, of course. Normally it's a huge family occasion for us, and here it was much smaller, of course. So that's it feels a little bit, I guess, a little bit like a wasted opportunity, really. To all be together and eat, drink, and swap.
Yeah, lots of Zoom calls and remote things this year.
Yeah, that's right. It's thing about Zoom calls. It just reminds me so much of work that I always find it a bit difficult to enjoy them, really. But okay, that's how life is at the moment. So we just got to cope with that. But just felt like a little bit of a wasted opportunity of a period of the year that I always very much look forward to, and my parents too as well. So. Okay, right, so we're still waiting. I'm just going to do some social media obligations.
I've just tweeted about the women's event starting now.
Fantastic.
But
just
I
let everyone know.
I had it all ECF and all this sort of thing, which I normally do, and I forgot because I was tweeting very quickly.
There we are. Okay, so let's have a look. It should almost be starting now. So let me just try and get a few games up, and we're going to see. We start, of course, with Observe Keti. Normally takes a minute or so to get going. So because all the arbiters have to actually start the games themselves, it's just the time control, by the way, still 45 minutes plus 15 seconds per move. So quite a nice little time control, really. I mean, I think it's yeah. I mean, for internet chess, it's very slow, but it gives you really gives you a good chance to to get into the game and to look at the opening and the rest. I think it's very nice indeed. Just trying a few of these. See whether anyone's started yet. It is 1 o'clock. Ha! Horsey chess against Thin Rose
Okay.
Leapfrog. Undoubtedly one of the nicest usernames that I've seen, I think. So that's Zoe Varney against May Catterby. And we are expecting 1e4 from Zoe here. You've had some 1e4 games against Zoe, haven't you, I think?
I have. I had... well, we had a e4, e5, and with bishop c4, one of these ones where white tries to gang up on f7.
Okay.
Yeah, and I did a line, I think you recommended it, I did a line with a pawn sacrifice and like bishop d7 letting white take on c6.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, which worked very well, actually. That was, yeah.
Okay, well, we're still waiting for that one to go. Horsey chess is...
This is Sicilian. Okay.
Indeed, but Ketty has indeed played 1e4. Maria playing c5, as always, knight f3. Looks like it's going to be an open Sicilian here. So, yeah, I think that suits both players. I mean, Maria's won a lot of games with 1c5 as black so far. And, of course, Ketevan, yeah, 1e4. Oh, something strange has happened there. Game aborted between Horsey chess and Thin Rose Leapfrog. Presumably something went a bit wrong there. So...
what was it? It looked like I can't see those moves clearly.
No, it said game aborted.
Yeah,
no moves got made.
Oh, okay. But it looks like this is this game. Yes, that has the moves. Yeah. So Maria, like the games we've seen of her so far, they tended to have opposite side castling in them. Maybe she can't engineer that in this game with if we do go for an open Sicilian. But what we have seen from Maria is some attacks, queen side pawns coming down the board and checkmating a king that was on the queen side. So she kind of quite likes that kind of position.
Now, still waiting for that to happen. No, haven't got back yet. No other games apart from Ketevan's going on here. And Maria thinking over her reply.
Do you know what's happened? They've got the time control wrong because they're meant to have 45 minutes in the women's and the open is an hour. So I reckon what's happened is they've realized the time control isn't right. So they're just going to start again on 45 minutes. Indeed.
Okay. Right. Well spotted indeed. Yes, that's yeah, I guess it's
a good theory.
It's a good theory, isn't it? It's been tough for the arbiters too, I think, getting started again after.
Well, I tell you what, yeah, you kind of like we had 3 days, the first 3 rounds, and then a break of 3 days. And I think by the time you come back after the 3-day break, you have to kind of think again exactly what all the settings are and how to set it all up. Because like I nearly forgot to put my headphones in today, and
yeah,
I just saw them, and then that's what I do.
Let's have a look. Have they managed to correct that yet? I will see. Of course, yeah, you've sort of revealed your preparation, really, haven't you? With
well, it would be interesting if it comes back with a different opening.
Indeed.
You couldn't you? You notice if you notice the time's wrong, you could kind of bluff and do something completely different, and then do your normal stuff the second time round.
Yeah, I think there was some. I think it was the Aeroflot Open in Russia that in Moscow that I think there was a power cut in the middle, just at the start of the round. So some people had already played 10 or 15 moves, and then yeah, I mean a number of people did change their openings, and
oh, really? Because they just didn't like what they'd got.
They didn't like what they got, so they that must be.
You thought they'd make them reproduce the same moves.
I don't know. It's just it was yeah. No, I mean it's one of those tricky things, really. That yeah, when unexpected things happen like that, it would be so distressing to get a nice piece of preparation on the board and then find that you have to.
Yeah.
you have to do it again. It's but let's have a look. Let's see whether we can get anything going there. Whether any of the games we've got going yet. Doesn't look like it. It's Lampard. No, we'll just have to wait a little bit for this to happen. Ha! There we are.
Okay.
It's all started again. Ketevan.
And I predict E4. And I predict C5. And then knight F3.
Right.
Yes, and it's back with the proper time control, so 45 minutes for
Brilliant.
plus 15 seconds, I think it is.
Knight C6. Very good. I'm just going to keep on opening up some more windows. So what is Ketevan going to play? Bishop B5 is very, very popular, of course. Yeah, I mean, D4 is.
I'm going to predict D4.
Okay, I'm going to predict Bishop B5 there.
Oh, okay. I'm going to actually predict it. Let me find my chess.com. There we go. D4. My guess.
Let's have a look.
Incorrect. Knight C3. We're both wrong.
Oh, dear me.
The Grandmaster has come up with a third move in this position that we didn't think was possible. 3 Knight C3.
Indeed, that's a bit of a sneaky one. So it really depends, what system Black plays here. I mean, Black. If Black's a dragon player, then then G6 would be fine. But if you're if you're a Sveshnikov player, then well, E5 is often what you play. But you've got to like those things. Magnus Carlsen, of course, manages to play these sort of positions beautifully with this Botvinnik style structure with a hole on D5. But yeah, it's not always easy to play with Black. I've had mixed results with that as well. So it's yeah, you're just quite difficult to handle. So let's have a look. That might might give Maria a little bit of pause for thought there. Let's have a little look. Let's have a look at the next game then. We've got Zoe Varney against May Caterby, and not quite a C3 Sicilian, but a slightly offbeat Sicilian, which I think is more is basically Zoe's style there. So C3, Knight F6, Bishop E2. Actually a system that was very, very popular with, or quite popular in England because of the advocacy of Mike Basman. So Mike Basman wrote a pamphlet about this. Now, the obvious
trap.
is a trap. Of course, there's Queen A4 check, picks up the knight because of the fork.
I'm not expecting to see that trap in this game.
Indeed. But what you can actually have, let me just bring up an analysis diagram, is the following. So what Mike Basman spent a lot of time analyzing was this line: D4, takes, knight E4, and then D5. So it looks like there's the same trap as before, because if the knight moves away, we've got Queen A4 check. However, Black has got the idea of Queen A5 check, stopping Queen coming to A4. But you go Knight C3, Knight takes C3, BC3, Knight E5. I take on E5, and Black can even go the whole way and munch that one and that one. And it's 3 pawns. But White does have an absolutely huge initiative, and I do seem to remember, I hope I'm not slandering him at all, that Mihai Suba, the Romanian Grandmaster who moved to England for a while in the I think late 1980s, early 1990s. I think he lost a game with this actually. Did he grab all the pawns? I'm just having a quick little check there. But I do seem to remember that he grabbed all the pawns and lost. That was because there's also you can also take one on D5 as well. I may be misremembering here, but let me have a look. I'll just move back a few moves and see this, because I seem to remember it was because I know that Julian Hodgson played this, the English GM, and yeah, I mean he yeah, this was an analysis from originally from Mike Basman.
I remember Subo. He played in the Blackpool Zonal Tournament, which was in 1990, I think, and maybe 1991, that kind of time. And that tournament, it was really strange. They had a tie break. They ended up on the same number of points, had a tie break, and then they had to just decide it completely at random by lots.
Yeah, wasn't that where Mickey won? I think
Yeah.
Mickey got through, didn't he? And
Yes.
yeah, I think that's true. I'm looking for this Suba game, which I can't actually remember. I may be viciously slandering him actually, that he lost in this. However, there is a very famous game which I'm going to show to you. Let's have a look. Hodgson Suba. It does exist. Okay, that's right. So the most famous game is actually this position, and that's Basman against Steen, Hastings Premier 1973. And that continued castles, queen takes d5, rook b1. So black is quite a few pawns up here.
Yeah.
However, the king is not in great shape. Bishop check, bishop d7, takes, queen a4 check, king d8, rook b5. And this is really appalling for black. Just cannot find any safety for the queen or for the king. Rook a5, queen d3, bishop e3, and white broke through with rook takes a7, and that was basically curtains. So this is a very dangerous line. In actual fact, in this position, Mihai Suba went knight d8 against Julian, but lost again very badly. You know, so it's a very dangerous line. But normally in these nowadays, people do sort of quiet things like bishop d7, for example.
We haven't got that in this game. So Zoe and May haven't.
Oh no!
What?
Oh, no. Was knight takes c4 played? No, knight takes c4 was played. Oh my goodness! My guess was correct.
Oh, your guess was correct. Oh no, my guess was wrong.
Queen a4.
Oh
check,
my goodness,
c6.
we've lost the.
Queen takes c4.
Black's lost the piece.
Indeed. Oh my goodness.
Without enough compensation at all.
There's no compensation whatsoever there. So, good Lord. Well, there we are. That's a hell of a reward for a trap like that, which is quite well known nowadays. So terribly bad luck there for May Ketevan, but we'll see whether she can fight her way back. But obviously that's
she's a very young player, I think. Maybe she has not been exposed to the English trappy style that we had when in the days.
No,
do you think the English scene has improved and become less trappy? I don't think it has, because we've been following all the games of Tom Villiers, and he has more traps than you can count. So,
I think it's just one of those things, you know. I mean, nowadays, I mean, when we were little, you know, and you didn't have computers or anything, and books were also fewer and far between. Those were the sort of traps that you fell into all the time, and nowadays it's much more unusual for juniors to fall into these traps because you know, they kind of grew up with them. So this one was just being one that
well, she's only 10, so she hasn't had much chance to learn all the traps yet. She'll learn this one, I'm sure.
Oh, indeed. So so actually Maria has played d6 and has actually gone in for a dragon there with g6.
Okay.
So going to be a sharp one, and Ketevan's thinking a little bit about what she plays. I don't actually know, what does Ketevan normally play against the dragon, I wonder. Let's see if I can just find a quick game, because she was a big Open Sicilian player, so she must have she definitely must have some games in that. I'll just have a quick little look in the database.
Probably
My
heavy
goodness.
main line, eh?
Sorry, my computer's churning a bit because we've got about 70,000 games in the in this, and I'm just going to sort it out on Arakhamia. Bishop e3, that's she's definitely going for a sharp line. Let's have a look. Just scrolling up a little bit. So many good players who've played this with white. Let's have a look.
By the way,
still scrolling.
Yeah, we've got another dragon actually on board. The Nina against Imogen, so we can check in when we've worked out all the theory. We can check in on that one too.
Indeed. Oh, let's have a look. Loads of games for Ketevan against the dragon. Just have a look at the statistics. She has scored 8 wins, 4 draws, and 3 losses against an average of 24-35. So that's not
really
not
good, huh? So that's like a 2,500 performance at least. She's at least 2,500 at the dragon.
So, okay, and what I'm seeing anyway is that she is playing this line, or she certainly did in 1992 against Chris Ward.
Okay.
Who, of course, was a big dragon expert.
Yeah.
Still is actually here. And castles queenside. So she didn't play there. The line was bishop c4, which is the main Yugoslav attack, but she played the equally sharp castles. So it's going to be interesting to see which line she plays there. I think.
Okay, and we would have our opposite side castling. We
would indeed. Once again.
Okay, excellent. So Maria would be happy too. Both players getting what they're comfortable with.
Oh, good Lord! Now we have quite an interesting little Grunfeld here. So d4, knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, d5, knight f3, bishop g7, and then this move h4.
This is Tashika Aurora against Lara Puta.
So the first time I saw this move played h4. This was I think Grishuk who I saw play it. It's become very, very popular indeed, this line. So let's have a little look at the theory and see what both players know. So c5 was played, which, to be honest, I do feel is the most natural and crucial way of playing. D takes c4 is also quite interesting. c6 has been played a lot, but feels a bit. I mean, c5 feels like the real Grunfeld way to play, really. So d takes c5, the most popular move as well for white. Just putting pressure on this d5 pawn. Now queen a5 has been played quite a bit. Black plays a slightly more unusual line, knight a6. But that's got pedigree. It's been played by Vasilagrov and Mamedyarov, so not bad at all, of course. So c takes d5, knight takes c5, and then e3 from white. Yeah, and e3 from white, that actually seems to be a new move. White's done some strange things, actually. Bishop e3, queen d4, and g3. E3 does look actually extremely sensible, I have to say. Castles from black, bishop e2, and black plays the quiet b6 and bishop b7. Now, I mean, white's got to decide what to do there. I mean, are you going to try and keep hold of this pawn, or are you just going to play a bit quietly? White castled. Pawn on h4, maybe not so useful now, but bishop b7 and then queen c2. So presumably looking for after knight d5. Probably white's going to look to play something like rook d1, which might be a little bit awkward. Always difficult to know with these because we've got some knight b4s here simply. So I don't think that's very good. So I think actually after queen c2 and knight takes d5, I mean, black must be a little bit better here. You know, just got the sacrifice pawn back. 2 bishops. They're beautiful in the center, and yeah, I mean, just this pawn on h4 not particularly useful now that White's castle kingside. So looking quite good for Lara there. Ooh, this has not gone very well. This is Nina Pert against Imogen Dyson. Let's have a look at how the opening went. So this was a dragon. Takes. Knight d4, bishop g7, bishop e3. Yeah, and here black. So if you look at our top board game, Maria played, well, made sure she had d6 in before playing knight f6. So here black played knight f6. Yeah, this is a slightly more risky line. I mean, I think it's in principle it's not so bad. I mean, it's completely possible, but it is a little bit more risky there. Interesting to see as well, actually, that Nina also played 3 knight c3 there. So in both cases, both players playing a slightly unusual move order there. So White took on c6, and yeah, I mean, this has been very much played. Some people have even tried d takes c6, just taking the queens off, but that should be a little bit better for White. So bc6 is the obvious move there. e5, knight g8. I think I've even had a game with this as White, actually. e5, knight g8.
Looks quite comfortable for White.
Yeah, it's all well known. I mean, this is really well known theory. I mean, knight d5 is a well known pawn sacrifice here. Let's just bring up an analysis diagram just to do it. So knight d5 is quite a well known pawn sacrifice here. And you I think you go rook b8 here, and then go queen c7, and try and claim that the counterplay against these pawns is going to give you some decent play. Knight g8 is a well-known move. Now White sometimes plays f4. Yeah. Bishop d4 is what was played in our game. But now normally black is doing something against this pawn. Yeah. So either playing f6 to try and get rid of it, or even queen a5. Yeah. Queen a5 is the move that I remember from my from the old days. And I seem to remember that, I mean, there was even a lot of lines with bishop takes c5 castles, and White's got a lot of compensation there. But here Black actually played probably a little bit afraid of e6, which was a threat, but it's not really a threat, because after, for example, if you play a move like queen a5, e6, we just play knight f6, and like this, you've developed really. All White's done is help develop, get the rook into f8 or e8, and you're absolutely fine. But e6 was a bit of a nervous move, you could say.
Now look at these holes around the
holes are huge there. Check there.
Yeah.
And then an interesting move from Nina here.
Did she try and threaten mate? No, she's preparing it. So her threat is queen f3 to try and threaten mate on f7.
But the knight is not coming into f5 now. So black in all sorts of trouble here. I mean, this is really a horrible position for Black. So very strong start there for Nina Pert, elite player.
Yeah.
Then we've got Secret Superstar. Secret Superstar, that is Trisha Canyamarala against Relin Posadas, February 27. So I just got confused because her Twitter handle is quite different, but she's female nurse 27, but here she's February 27.
Yes.
So this was a King's Indian, and White played the Petrojan system, which is a well-known system here. Knight a6, bishop g5, h6, bishop e3. Looks like a lot of time, but White often throws in this bishop g5, bishop b3 maneuver. Indeed, it was one of Petrojan's favourite manoeuvres himself. He played bishop g5 in all sorts of King's Indians. Yeah, I mean, the idea is that this pawn on h6 is a weakness, so you might gain a tempo with queen d2, but also, you know, black is going to play knight to h5 and f5, and actually you just weaken the light squares a little bit in this way. So it's yeah, I mean, it's quite a common way of playing. Now, black played knight h5 to get into knight f4, and here I think that that White made a little inaccuracy. I'm pretty sure. I'll check the theory just to be. But I mean, the move I would actually expect here would be g3. Oops, sorry, g3. Just stop the knight coming into f4, and then I'll just try and play knight d2 and then chase away the knight from h5 by attacking it, letting the knight come into f4. Now, this has been done before. This knight g1 is known in some positions, but I don't think it's exactly this position. Let me just see whether this is at all known. D5, A5, H3, knight A6. I'm just putting it onto my database program, and we'll see H6, knight H5, and let's see whether we have this position on the in our database. I certainly think we should do. Quite a few. Well, knight g1 is not a novelty. It has been played before 3 times. Let's have a look by whom. Oh, by some quite 2,400 players. So it has actually been played. Knight f4 has been played, but the reason I was getting a little bit nervous was well, we're threatening knight takes g2, of course, so we can't.
So you could defend with bishop f3.
Yeah, so bishop f3, this is when we might go play a move like knight b4.
And then there's a threat to come in onto d3 with check.
Exactly.
Nasty. So then that might even force us to take that knight on f4.
Well, I don't think we should be doing that. That would really get us get black a huge amount of play there. I think probably what you would try and do is maybe play a move like g3. G3 maybe, or maybe king f1. I'm not quite sure. Not quite sure which.
Because here you lose the pawn on.
Well, I'm not quite convinced about that, because if you go here, and takes here, then I think I can just go queen e2 in this position.
And then the knight's a bit
I go a3. Yeah. So the knight's a bit stuck, and if you go knight here, then I could go. Well, at the very least, I could go rook b1, for example, and then just get 2 knights for the rook. You know, which would be a pretty good deal there. So king f1. I think probably you'll maybe end up just moving this knight from here. Maybe playing knight c5, something like that. Or we could obviously go much more aggressive with f5. I mean, in principle, it's quite a nice position for black, I think. I mean, I could play bishop f1 as well, just keeping an eye on d3, and then I'm going to aim to chase away the knight with g3 later. Yeah, I mean, this could get quite sharp. I mean, it's not clear that the knight's going to retreat. I mean, you might just decide, let's leave the knight there, get the center open, and then you know, try and pile down the e-file against this king here. So yeah, not clear at all. Not clear at all. But well, that's going to be an interesting one. We're going to see how that goes. Oh, White has gone bishop f1, so Raelian's going to have to think here about what she wants to do. Just move on to Livy against Poisonous Mushrooms. That's Olivia Smith
against Julie O. And it's a King's Indian attack.
Indeed. So, yeah, this is looking quite reasonable for both sides, in actual fact. Maybe this development with the bishop on d7 is a little bit strange. With a pawn on h6, you know, you sort of... something like bishop. Oh, I can see what happens actually. Black did play bishop e6, and then the bishop got chased away there. So h6 has been played. So I would expect the bishop to move back to e6 soon. Black plays bishop
bishop d6. That's an interesting move.
Slightly, yeah. I mean,
would you exchange it? You could think about exchanging, get the bishop pair.
Yeah,
I wouldn't. Might be inclined to.
I wouldn't do it immediately. I think because I mean,
yeah, it's not going to move away because you just put it there.
Exactly. So, I mean, I would just play knight h4, I think, and look for f4, and then maybe at some stage taking on d6 is going to become very powerful. I quite like White's position here because Black's wasted a few moves. You know, Black's gone e6 on move 2 there, and then later e5. You know, and obviously fiddled a bit around with the bishop. So, yeah, I mean, I think this is quite. This is quite a nice version for White, but nothing dramatic yet. So let's.
I know what Mark's referring to. It's your chess database.
Oh, it's yes, of course, yes, indeed. And maybe yeah, but obviously I'd want massive sponsorship for mentioning ChessBase. It would be. But no, it's indeed just looking through ChessBase there. Let's have a look. What else have we got? We've got this is about a pawn against Alice L. So Alice Lampard and White is Suzanne Barry from Ireland. And here, well, we actually got a bishop b5 Sicilian. So in the other two, we've had dragons. Here we've got a bishop b5 Sicilian, and the game actually proceeded quite normally. There have been a lot of games like this. White takes on c6, gives the double pawns, and then puts its pawns on light squares, opposite coloured to its bishop, restricts this bishop on c8, and yeah, what are you trying to do? You're going to try and gain some space somewhere, either on the queen side, often with a4 to a5, or you try and make f4 for White. In principle, these positions are just, you know, very interesting, but not that. Yeah, I mean, not bad at all for either side. In actual fact,
we could potentially get an opposite side castling here.
We could do, but I don't think we do actually. But so normally one of the plans is to move this knight round off. It often goes d7, f8 to e6. And then it looks at both at f4 and at d4. That's a very common maneuver. And you often do it before castling because, well, if you do it before castling, you don't have to move a rook on the 8 out of the way to do it. It costs a lot of time, but on the other hand, yeah, I mean, the position is quite blocked. These pawns on c5 and e5 restrict any sudden breaks with d4. So, you know, Black does have time like that. So castles, bishop b7. Slightly strange move, that one, to put the bishop on b7 because it's just looking at the pawn there.
And the pawn's locked in by the other pawn.
Yeah, you normally either leave it there or play it to e6 or to a6, maybe after a move like a5, you know, to threaten a bit of c3 to c4. I mean, it's not bad, but it doesn't. You could do just a little bit more with that bishop, I think. So a4, a5, knight h2. Looking for f4. Black plays knight h5 to prevent it. And White very consequently plays knight e2, again threatening f4. Rook d8. And here White's a little worried about the possibility of, with this opposition here, of Black playing c4 and doubling the c-pawn. So White plays b3 and Black castles here.
Now, might you go crazy here and go g4 and then f4?
That is actually possible, and actually probably not a bad plan at all. So the thing you always look for with Black is to meet a move like White's got knight g4, to meet a move with knight f4. But here this actually works very well because we're actually attacking the queen. So you know, this rook can't be taken. And yeah, after g4, knight f6, then we could play f4. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I think this is quite reasonable. We're going to go as long as we can get away with this. I mean, we don't even need to play f4 straight away. I mean, I'm wondering about a knight takes e4, but we can play knight
move the rook
g3 first and then f4.
Yeah.
I think this would be a very good way to play. You know, you've got a number of these moves that you like to play. You've got for free. White's played knight g4, which is also quite interesting, not bad. You know, we're sort of aiming for some weak squares here. The one thing I don't like about it is that after f5, then I think White's got to play this move knight h6 check.
Yeah, and the king moves, and then he's threatening f4.
Yeah, we're threatening f4. We're also threatening f takes e4 as well. So I'm a little bit nervous about that one, to be honest. We're going to need to find to have a good way of playing. I mean, I was wondering about going takes a knight g3, something like this, you know, just to attack the pawn. But I mean, we've got all sorts of ways of doing this. We could just take and go f4, for example.
Again, yeah.
Knight's in trouble. So probably you need to go bishop g5, but I'm not very happy about having these like this. I mean, maybe even f4 is possible. Sorry, not f4. We're attacking the rook on d8. But well, we'll go rook d6 first, you know, and I don't know. I'm a bit nervous about this. I mean,
I like it for black.
You might be surviving, but it's really it's a very, very risky choice, you know, to do this.
I suppose you could you take on f5 at the end, and then fork on g4 just to try and untangle a bit.
Where are we looking at? Rook d6.
Put this knight.
Oh, takes and g4. Ooh, that's a brave decision. I'd probably go rook f3, I think, and you know, and I can take on h3 afterwards. I don't know. I'm nervous about this one. You know, maybe bishop c8 and attack this one. I think this would be very dangerous for white. Yeah, I think knight g4 really does feel a bit wrong there. I mean, I was wondering a little bit actually about you know, when I look at g4, I was wondering whether black could go f5 here actually, you know, and just try and
okay, and try and swap the
hit back
give
sharp
up the knight
like
but get the bishop.
Yeah, that's right. But it's not so clear. I mean, after fe, we'll go probably fe, you know, and we're still nicely together, you know. But this does feel very risky for white. So yeah, we're going to see how that one goes. Let's have a look. Let's make our way through the rest of the games because there aren't that many games. It's Floris Wilson, Flusson, against Kate Walker. They're playing fast. My goodness, look at that. But black's got a huge position, a really massive position there. So good that you're already starting to wonder whether you can do mates yet. But I mean, queen d3 must be very strong here, for example. Queen b4 also not bad, but queen d3 looks huge. You know, the pieces are going to be coming in very, very strong indeed for black there. And then we've got the final one, which is Georgina Headlong against Hannah Lowry O'Reilly. So let's have a look at that one. So this was an exchange French, and all very solid and reasonably symmetrical. Rook e1, rook e8, knight f1, knight f8, knight g3. White managing to get the bishop, but obviously the other bishop got exchanged as well. Knight f6. This is fairly even. I mean, white is a tiny bit better. Always, white's a little bit maybe more logically developed. Has got a bishop against the knight.
Yeah, I quite like George's bishop there on e5. Yeah. That's quite nice.
But I think we'll be going knight e4 and f6 soon. So you know, it is going to get chased away. So yeah, just an equal position. I mean, it's they're quite they can be quite difficult for black to handle these positions with you know, symmetrical. Ooh, bishop f6. That's a little bit.
Just left it there, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there was any need to take it away. Yeah, Yeah, actually, now the pawns, these are quite nice pawns, these pawns on f6 and g6, you know, covering.
There's a position we've got. We did a series of Chess for Life in the time of Corona, and we had this end game, and the pawns were set up just like that, and the black king was tucked in on g7 behind pawns like that, and the white king was out in the open. It was a major piece. Was it the John Ems game? I can't remember.
It was John Ems, right.
And just having those 3 pawns like that and the king there was just so nice for black in the end game, that he was able to get his major pieces out, and he ended up with these pins sort of along the 3rd rank and along the e file. If you get a chance, have a look at that end game. But it was a very nice move at the end to win.
It was Hawkins against John Ems, and we asked him to select his best game, and he was very modest about stuff, but it was a fantastic game, a really beautiful performance. You know, sort of one that if Magnus Carlsen or Karpov had played it, then you know, it would you'd be in ecstasy about it. But you know, somehow for our own players, we're often just a little bit more modest. But it's a really great Queen and Rook end game actually, and beautiful illustration of the general maxim that these major piece endgames, they're all about king safety. If your king's safer than the opponent, then you've got a big advantage. And that was really true because, as Natasha said, with these lovely pawns covering the John Ems's king, yeah, everything was possible somehow, you know, and his own pieces, Queen and Rook, get much more active than the opponent's, you know, which also needed to defend his own king. So very, very nice indeed. Okay, let's go back then to... Oh, okay. Oh, this is some offbeat stuff that's been happening here. So Bishop E3 from Ketevan. She played just as she played in 1992. F3. But here, Maria plays something a lot more unusual. Now they call these sort of systems the Dragadorf, because it's a mixture of a dragon and a Najdorf. You know, so you've got the dragon bishop on g7, but you've got this a6 move, which you see in the Najdorf. These things have become quite popular recently. They're a little bit dodgy. In all fairness, but still, what you often do though, you normally don't play this mixture with the knight on c6. Normally you play it with the knight still on b8, and then you can play b5 and knight bd7, you know, and bishop b7 and develop that way. So with knight c6 is a little bit more unusual there. So I'm intrigued to see actually how many games we have in our database here.
How's Maria doing for time? Is she? They both seem to be not still in their main theory, so they are spending a little
exactly. Oh well, there have been loads of games on this. Looks like about 700 or 800. So interesting. So castles, that was the main move in the database, and now a very unusual move from Maria. Normally, although she might. Oh no, sorry, she played castles. We get g4. Again, a very common white move, this one. I mean, this is definitely what you do. And here, I think a slightly more unusual move from Maria. Often black takes on d4 in order to be able to then play b5. Maria played the 3rd most popular move. Still interesting move here, knight e5. So getting the knight out of the attack, and then the next move is going to be b5. And Ketevan played bishop h6. h4 was also possible here, but yeah, bishop h6, it might easily transpose. And then b5 from black. So
we were wondering if we were going to line up for a game like this with the queenside pawns coming down against white's king, and the white kingside pawns coming up against black's king.
Exactly. So I mean, this is really very going to be very sharp. Trying to work out. I don't think there's been any high-level games in this line. So yeah, I think we're sort of kind of forging a new path in.
Okay, is b5 the unusual move here?
I think. Bishop h6 actually was slightly unusual. H4 was played more often, I think. So, but okay. Well, let's have a little let's have a little look at a few lines. I mean, in principle, I do feel really that well, White's attack looks pretty good here, really, because this a6 b5 is not, feels a little bit slow, somehow. But well, we're going to see how that all works out. So, I mean, h4 is a pretty obvious way of playing here. So we're just going to try and follow up with bishop g7, h5. So how is Black going to play here? Well, b4 is obvious, I think. There are vaguely some sort of tricks available. I mean, stuff like very often for Black is probably not going to work, but we've got stuff like bishop takes g4 always, and maybe something like knight takes g4, just with the idea of forking this and forking this. So Black plays queen d2, and then we can play stuff like b4, and then e4 is hanging as well. These sort of things are quite common in the Dragon, but yeah, whether it works specifically.
Do you think it would work here?
I don't think so. No, I don't think it really would. I mean, I think the natural move that you'd play would be b4 in this position. But then White's going to play knight d5, and of course, one of the it's your piece is attacked, so you're disrupted as White. But actually, when you play your knight to d5, you're going to remove this knight on f6. So it does mean that you're weakening the Black king here. So yeah, not 100% clear. So what could Black do here? Black could. It's a bit. The problem is I'm trying to think how to get an attack going with Black, and it's not that easy because you're actually quite you're quite slow in this position. So I mean, I should mention a few other ideas. When you've when the knight's been moved away from there, knight takes f3 is always another possibility as well. Yeah. The problem is, you'll get something like this and say, "Ha! I'm forking the two rooks," but then knight g5 will mate you. So yeah. I mean, it's normally these knight f3, knight e4, bishop g4 tricks. They work when you've got a rook on c8 and a queen on c7, and you've got some extra power. But I don't think
feel like White's a little bit better developed here, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it's quite. I'm not really very sure. I mean, we could go knight d5 takes, and queen a5. Forking these two. That is possible. Okay. The question is, how worrying would this be, really? So I could. I mean, for example, I go king b1. If you go queen d5, then you're just actually losing your queen to this tactic. So
okay,
you can't do that.
Basically,
if you go bishop h6, queen d5, then yeah, h5 is very fast. I mean, you're really. I think you're. Well, am I right in saying that? We do have this cunning idea: knight takes g4 to meet fg4. With queen h1, and that's the way to stop the mate on h7. You just take the rook, and that's an interesting question. How dangerous is this? It's not very clear. I mean, we could go bishop e2, and if you stay on this diagonal, then I could just go bishop f3 and then take this one. And if you go to h2. That's not 100% clear, but it looks fairly good. If you go to h2, oh, well, that's quite a good idea, actually, just keeping this pin on here, so I can't go hg. This one's not so clear in actual fact. So b4.
What happened in the game, actually? I was just trying to find it.
Oh, White took on g7. So king g7. So I would expect Keti. It's a bit early, that move, I feel, somehow, but maybe Keti was worried about these sort of b4 ideas and just wanted to make sure the queen was here. I mean, h4 is possible now. I suppose you could even go h3. That's not completely ridiculous in order to play f4 later. I could play... Yeah, I mean, one line that's vaguely tempting me actually is to play f4 here. It's probably not very good, but you know, the idea would be knight eg4, h3, and then just force this knight over to h6. You know, then you're just going to maybe even play for e5 or whatever. I mean, it's a little bit odd. And there are plenty of ideas like b4 to counter or whatever, but or knight g4 and then b4 at some stage. But I don't know. It's not completely crazy. Otherwise, h4 is the really the normal move. Or you've got a whole range of standard ideas like king b1, for example.
I just want to say there's something very interesting is happening in Zoe Varney's game. You know, the one. Yeah, just have a little check in on that one.
Oh my goodness, that has not gone. That has not gone.
It's not gone as smoothly as Zoe might have hoped.
Yeah, so let's have a look. How are we doing here? So there's all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. So still one pawn for the piece, but obviously this one probably going. And after that, it's going to be tough to hold that one. So. Yeah, I mean, that's actually quite nasty. And of course, looking at the position, the bishop, knight and rook, these are not happy pieces.
A little bit offside, aren't they, on that A file?
Yeah, so how is white going to play here?
How did we get to this, actually?
So, yeah, I mean, white went to... did the old exchanging off all the pieces, when I'm a piece up thing, which is very good. But then in the middle of that, grab this incredibly risky pawn on ace on here.
Hot pawn on a7.
So c5. It's funny actually because Zoe got her dark square bishop trapped against.
I was just thinking on that same square, wasn't it? On A7,
that same square. Yeah, on that same square. So
she better be careful with taking on A7. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. That's really that is actually quite that's actually quite strange. So knight A3 was played, hoping to get the knight to B5, queen A5, queen B7, rook C7. Bishop
you can see how this all happened, yeah.
A5, and here black could have taken on B2 as well, but rook A8 is quite strong, of course. If knight C4, then D5 would have followed. So B4 and then bishop takes C3. Wow. Let's have a look at this one then. How on earth are we going to do this with white? I mean, if I go rook C1, then there's at the very least there's bishop B2. So that's not gonna work. So I would just thought rook B1 would be more or less the only move. But how are we going to do this? Because we've got a little pin here. So we go C takes B4. Now with pins, we can't go takes because of takes here. But of course, the bishop on A5 is hanging.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's difficult for those. So knight. No,
we've got rook C1, which is an idea. Or we've got knight C4. But knight C4, we've got D5 here. And I think this is just going to be well, very good for black. Knight B6, rook takes A5 simply. So not very handy. So the only thing that I can think of would be rook C1. So the idea is to meet rook A5 with rook C3 here.
Yeah.
But actually, no, this is complete rubbish. We just take and take here.
Okay, and look at that C-pawn, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be amazed if black's maybe winning here.
Better maybe, yeah.
I mean, you can play a move like, well, if you go knight C2, I can just take here, and this one's just hanging. I could go maybe knight C4, and try and give give this one back like this. But I mean, simply, you do this and this, and well, all the problems remain. And after all, Black's got he's got rook and 2 pawns for the 2 pieces, and this pawn weak here as well. I mean, Black must be better here. So yeah, it's
a big turnaround in that game. Yeah.
My goodness me, that's a bit of a shock there. Oh, so this one we'd seen. We saw that Black didn't indeed play knight takes d5, back with a bishop, d6, and this is a lovely Grunfeld position. This, all the pieces active. This bishop, beautiful here, center opened, knight on a great square. So yeah, this is really looking. Ooh. Now, I don't really understand that move. So rook d3 was played, queen e7, and now White played rook dd1.
Oh, interesting.
Well, I mean, the problem was that knight takes c3 and bishop e4 was threatened.
Yeah.
But this is, I mean...
Well, sometimes they say the hardest thing to do is just to retract a move where you realize you didn't play what you had intended.
Yeah, but I mean, there's huge. I mean,
bishop this doesn't look good though.
And knight c3 are winning pawns to start with, So and probably a couple actually. So offering everyone Stollen.
Yes, please,
yeah.
Mark. That sounds good.
And some port as well. So that's really good. Ooh, now let's have a look. This one was very difficult indeed for Black. G4.
Yes.
Imogen has managed to curl up into a little ball there and play queen f8 and protect the pawn on f7, which was, to be honest, a very ingenious way of doing that.
Actually, can come out break out with like h5 soon. Then.
Well, yeah, h4, h5, bishop h3 from Nina.
Still looking difficult.
Looking very powerful here. I mean, we can. I think taking on here and going bishop g4 followed by h5. That's probably Nina's plan, and that looks, that looks very strong. So, yeah, very difficult position for Black here. Allergic to alcohol. My goodness, Mark. That's unusual. That's an unusual allergy. It's oh, let's have a look at Ray Lin. Bishop f1, f5, followed g3, and we're wondering whether Ray Lin would maybe even leave her knight on there and do a big sacrifice, but played knight h5.
Yeah.
And here saves money. Yeah, that is true. That is definitely true, Mark.
True.
So, e takes f5. Yeah, so this is always the slight problem. If you go bishop takes f5 here, so you go bishop takes f5, you get hit by g4. So that is actually quite awkward. So
yeah, this is looking quite good for White then.
Well, yeah, kind of. I think. Yeah, I mean, normally when you've gone this far to put the knight on f4 and White's undeveloped pieces, what you really want to do is just to carry on and keep on sacking. Now, I don't actually know how that's supposed to work, but for example, a move like f takes e4,
yeah,
knight e4, bishop f5, for example. And if knight c3, I go knight b4, and I'm attacking all these. This looks quite dangerous. And if you go g takes f4, takes, I mean, you get in bishop d4, so you get to swap these off, which is slightly annoying. But still, I would think that you can do something nice here for Black. Maybe go e3, bishop g7, queen h4, something like this, attacking this one.
Okay, okay.
And I'm just
defend it, I guess.
Yeah, we can defend it. What I was hoping was to maybe rook h2. I was hoping to get some really quick counterplay, like rook e8 or something, and threaten this.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's the sort of thing. F takes e4. This
Yeah,
sort
looks interesting for sure.
It feels like the thing that you should be doing, really. And I think black will still have some okay counterplay. You're going to be a pawn down here, but you will have got some freedom for your pieces. But it's just I really would have liked to. I've come this far with knight f4. Let's just keep on going, and keep on throwing the pieces forward. That would have been my my biggest desire there. But okay, we'll see how that goes. Takes on g6. Black's got some counterplay for the pawn, obviously. Sort of an active queen and some weak light squares. But I think in principle, white should be better here. I expect white to play knight f3 and then maybe play the king over to here and just try and survive that. Olivia Smith. Ooh. How did this go? Oh yeah, we said. Oh, good lord. So white went for a very aggressive move here. Played knight takes e5.
Oh.
Takes, and f4.
Okay. With the fork at the end.
Yeah, and I don't think black reacted in the best way here, because this move bishop f4, it really gives white tempi basically to keep on going. I would have maybe looked for that's a little bit tricky. I will admit that. Maybe bishop d6. Maybe I would have looked for something like bishop d6 and bishop c6 maybe, or maybe tried f4 bishop c6. No, it wasn't easy. Wasn't easy. It's just this feels wrong in a way because it white gets a
you couldn't leap in with knight e4, could you, in that first position?
Here.
Yeah. I suppose your e file gets a bit opened.
You could do that. Yeah.
Because if they take the bishop, you could, I don't know, maybe this is going too far, but you could maybe take on g3 with the knight.
It's possible. It's possible. I was
yeah.
I was slightly concerned, but I'm not sure actually. Maybe it's just a good idea. We do have e6 in that case.
Yeah, bishop.
Yeah, bishop takes. I go here and fork you. So you'd have to go knight f1, but then I take on here and then take this one, which should be quite good for white, really. So if e6 really is that good, then that idea doesn't quite seem to work out, just tactically. But it's an interesting idea, knight e4. Would yeah. I mean, if white just took back and then you get the bishop away, that doesn't.
And you've still got your bishop pair, haven't you?
You still got your bishop pair. I mean, we could go bishop d6, e5 here. That might be, but this is slightly annoying. This because white goes rook e1 check, and you don't want to play bishop e7 and bishop e6 loses. But I mean, maybe you just go king f8, and it's not terrible, but it is better for white, and so that's a spot there by Olivia, and. Well, as the rest of the game went, all black missed this move, bishop h6.
Yeah, and the knight's hanging.
f6, so knight g4 took place, but the rook came to f6 anyway. Queen f3, queen f4, rook h8. Black surviving still just, but this is obviously pretty desperate. Queen e5 looks quite strong. Rook f1 as well will be very strong. E5, bishop e4, also an idea, just to get the pieces active and move the king out of the way, and then play g5, for example. So yeah, it looks very, very strong indeed there. Very strong indeed. What else have we got? We've got about a pawn against Alice Lampard. So knight g4 did indeed happen. And a lot of risky things, but I think did white end up losing a piece here? Knight h6 check. Ooh, bishop h4, g5, indeed. Cut the knight off from the queen there. So takes was played. Bishop takes h6 and knight f4, knight g3, queen d6. Takes, and black is simply looking to be a. And now well, here black just takes on f5 here, and is going to get yet another pawn as well.
Yeah.
So, that's looking just winning for the Scottish player Alice Lampard there. We're just going to take that pawn back, and yeah. So that's looking good. Oh yes, Floris Wilson has lost to Pure Soul.
Okay. Oh, this was the one where all the major pieces were coming in down the C file.
Exactly.
I think.
Yeah. So that's not too surprising. That was pretty difficult already. Let's have a look at what's happening with Ketty. Ooh, okay. This is what Ketty was aiming for. So she played G5 and then F4 here.
Okay, hitting that knight on E5.
Indeed. Knight C4. Oops. Sorry. Knight C4. Takes
Black is doing well today. Yeah.
F5.
Yeah, Black is doing well in general. Except maybe this game.
Bishop B7. Ooh, Bishop B7. Ooh. That's quite natural, but it does leave this square a little bit sensitive. Sorry, this one, because F takes and then knight E6. You've got an idea there. So okay, interesting. Let's bring up a little analysis board on that one. So what can we do here? So I mean, rook f1 feels quite natural. Just looking for the f file and maybe having some ideas of taking a rook takes f7 or something like that. Does white have another idea? Rook e1 is possible, but I think yeah, this feels more natural. And you've got two ideas really here for white. I mean, either you're going to do something with and try and exploit this square. You might do something with f6 check. That's also possible, obviously. E4 to e5, maybe after queen e3. That could be possible. Or you could play a move, an idea like knight e2 to. Well, then you probably wouldn't want to play the rook to f1. You could play a move like knight e2, for example. Just the idea is to play knight g3. And then knight g3, hg3, and open the h file anyway like that. Feels a little bit on the long side somehow, but maybe you've got time for that actually. Rook f1 would be my blitz reaction really. You know, just activating the rook, getting out of this long diagonal here. And essentially asking black, you know, what are you going to do there? I mean, bishop b7 it's not 100% an obvious square for the bishop. I mean, my natural inclination would be to put it on d7, to be honest, because it covers the e6, it covers c6, and also it leaves the b file free. You know, some sort of attack against here. So bishop b7 just means that you're not really thinking of attacking b2. So yeah, I mean that's not not too clear there. But I said rook f1 would be my favored idea. I think rook f1 maybe then a queen e3, and then just sort of see what how black is going to react there. Because I think
Ketty's been having a good think about this, hasn't she?
She certainly has. Surprises me a little bit, but yeah, maybe yeah. The thing is, you know, very often it's a bad thing to see too many ideas because you know, often you just play in blitz, you play a move quickly like rook f1, and then you just you know, you'd be happy with it as well. But yeah, so when you're playing a long game, you think, oh, I could go knight here, knight e2, for example, and threaten a move like queen d4 check as well. You know, as well as this knight g3. But you've got to calculate g takes f5 maybe, when the bishop is going to attack the rook if you take back on f5. So yeah, you get confused quite easily. You confuse yourself quite easily in long games. Anyway, Keti thinking 13 minutes to 20 from Maria, and well, Maria was actually getting to time trouble a reasonable amount in the earlier games. So
I just noticed the chat on Keti's game, and it's saying that Keti was also the Soviet women's champion way back.
Oh, okay.
Haven't checked it, but that's interesting as well.
Not surprised. Now let's have a look, because Zoe Varney seems to have got out of things a little bit. So
Okay.
she went rook d1. Ah, that was a clever idea. Knight c4. So the idea was to cover this this d5 square, so you don't have d6 d5. Now, I don't think that black played the best way, because I think simply rook b5 would have been very powerful, threatening rook a5 and also threatening d6 to d5. But black went rook c8.
Zoe Houdini.
Zoe Houdini, indeed. Rook c5 and rook d5. So rook takes d5 followed, and then black played rook b5.
Ah, yeah.
Three, rook a5. And amazingly, white had survived there. So f3.
More than survived. I mean, white's got that extra knight.
Yeah, I think in general the ending.
How is this? Yeah.
The ending should be equal, I think, because oh well, you are actually going to win that pawn back now, aren't you? So yeah, no, white is better. I don't know whether white's winning. I mean, these knight against positions with all the pawns on one side, they can be difficult to win, but I think they're much more difficult for black to hold. So yeah, could well be that Zoe's just going to make this one. My goodness,
I would think it'd be more fun for white to play this, because you can just kind of try and chip away at the pawns one by one. Indeed.
So yeah, amazing. Now, what have we got here? We've got Aurora Tashika against Lara Puta, and yeah, this was the Grunfeld that went very, very well for black. And after here, black got this massive position, and has taken not just one pawn, but 3 pawns now. So black's 3 pawns up. So normally speaking, this should just be obviously a clear win for black. Just in general terms, I'm not 100% sure about giving up this bishop for that knight. It's a little bit of a shame, when you've got such a beautiful bishop, just give it up for the knight. You're already 2 pawns up, which in principle is enough. So maybe you could have just started moving your queenside pawns, but okay, that's not bad at all. Now, how is Elite Player going to? Oh, that's interesting actually. I'd wondered whether this was going to happen. So black went bishop a6, and white took on h5. And now, really, the safest thing would be to play rook e1 here. Just protect the pawn on e5. You could also have done it before taking on h5, and then afterwards chase the rook back. But Nina was a little bit impatient and went bishop g4, and this gives blacks the opportunity to play rook takes e5 here.
Okay, an exchange sacrifice to remove that.
Yeah, and after h5, black played g5. And all of a sudden, it's not that easy for white to open up the king side anymore. So
it's well defended by black there.
Very well defended by black. h6, bishop f4 check. So just blocking the attack of the queen on there. King to b1, and now it's black to play. But I think a move like, for example, knight d5 looks obvious. Or knight g6 maybe even better, actually. Just
looking at e5, exactly, the queen and the bishop,
and obviously also uncovering the attack of the queen on the knight. I think this is this is going to be quite this is going to be a very sharp struggle now. Yeah.
So what, knight g6? What if should white do h7 and get a check in?
Well, you can.
They say, the proverb is, you never miss a check in case it's made.
Indeed. So
That's
yeah,
not a good proverb.
you can do
wouldn't
that.
live by it.
And you've got to still find a way to break through here. Obviously, your knight on d6 is hanging, so that's the first priority. Although actually, come to think of it, no, that's not actually true, because if white played a move like a3, for example, then takes is possible, because queen d6.
Queen f6. Yeah. Very good.
So
okay, so it defends the knight.
It does actually, strangely enough. So does that mean then that white could play a move like bishop h5? Just trying to get at that knight on g6 there. They could play knight e5, queen e4, f5, or queen c3.
It's complicated.
It's complicated. I mean, still, black still feels very. Black's position still feels very, very, very loose and a little bit worrying. But
because you might be able to redeploy your knight here, mightn't you? Like once that pawn is on f6, like say you went knight e4 and try and.
Yeah, I mean, I can play d5 and stuff. It's quite black's a bit loose, I mean, that's the problem. But I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one. That is, just see how that one pans out. But it's definitely a fight. And Nina has played h7 check, which I think is a good move. I think it's important to get the king to h8 there. Let's have a look. Secret Superstar against Raylin. So black played knight b4, threatening knight c2. White's covered with rook c1. That's a little bit awkward for black, because if you play bishop f5, we've got this move knight h4, which is an unfortunate fork, and then we're going to get rid of the light squared bishop. So not 100% clear how black should actually be playing here. Because a3 is coming in now to chase away the knight. I could play e4. Seen that about a pawn. Suzanne Barry has lost to Alice Lampard.
Yes.
That game where she ended up getting a piece trapped on h6. So that's not surprising. Sorry, I've just seen that Ketevan played knight d5 here.
Okay, and Maria's taken.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, in principle, white should be considerably better here. Ooh, pardon me. Oh, too much Christmas turkey and Christmas pudding. White should be better, because this knight on h5 is completely offside. So you would expect white to carry on maybe with rook f1, rook d1, get the rooks on these lovely diagonals, and then maybe play something like queen c3 as well. And it's not very clear how black is going to get any sort of attack now against the white king. So yeah, looking quite difficult for Maria at the moment. Let's have a look. We've got this ending.
Okay, so now Zoe has a knight for 2 pawns. So she managed to win the b pawn. I would fancy her chances to win this now.
Yeah, I would expect. I think is this just going to be winning, or always doubting about these things. But I think this looks very good. I mean, these pawns are going to get blockaded. So no, I think now I think if you play king d3, don't let the pawn come to e4, then you should be in good shape there. So let's have a look. A rook's gone. Oh no! So black was 3 pawns up. Black was 3 pawns up.
Yeah.
And queen c2 was played. Queen b2, and then queen takes a4.
Oh dear.
And suddenly Tashika is.
That swung it around. That's completely swung things.
Indeed. Well, it's completely winning now. Just C8 and well, Queen C2, possible too, but Rook C8 exchanging off rooks would be just killing. My goodness, there've been a
lot of swings this round, haven't there? I think everyone is still getting back into the swing of things after Christmas.
Me too. I mean, definitely, yeah. It's I can imagine. It's so this one elite player, so Nina Pert, Dyson. Yeah, and Bishop H5 is sort of interesting because this bishop is not doing very much now. So at least there it's getting involved. I mean, you could also think about trying to get it, even exchanging it actually for the bishop on A6. That would also be a pretty decent plan. Yeah, black's solid though. Black really is solid. It's of course Imogen played this move with knight G6 as well. Yeah, bishop H5 is what I'm thinking of, but yeah, it's definitely not clear. It's definitely you've definitely got no clear path to win there. So
what if you move your if you move your knight, they're going to go D5, aren't they? Yeah, so move your knight back to like uncover attack on that D7 pawn.
Yeah,
like knight back to C4, and you've got a trick of forking if it comes to it.
Well, and Nina's played A3, which, funnily enough, was the move that I played when I was just saying, and bishop D6 is impossible because I wonder whether there's a little sense of a trap in that one. It's also a generally reasonable move, just to give yourself some a bit of space.
No back rank mates coming in at any point now.
But still, so what would black do best? Maybe F6 is reasonable actually. Just blocking this diagonal and threatening. No, not yet. Threatening bishop D6. Well, maybe threatening bishop D6 because we could
still do that same trick, right? With
yeah, but I've got knight E5 in that position. That's why. And then I'm hitting. Then I'm actually hitting two things. You'd have to go queen D1, and then I go knight takes G4.
Yeah, and this is what I want to do.
So I think F6 would be a very sensible move there because I think you're going to have to play it anyway, and then afterwards you can think about playing a knight to E5 and that sort of stuff. Yeah. Anyway, anything could happen in this one. Really, is really anything at all. So Rook C1 here. I was still waiting for Raylin to play. 12 minutes to White's 9. I was thinking maybe we should play knight E4, or we should play E4. Maybe that's maybe an idea. Just to have the D3 square for the knight, to avoid having to retreat, when White goes A3, which seems, oops, not at all that one. Just to avoid having to retreat when White plays A2 to A3, A2, A2, A2 to A3 there. So I think that might be interesting. I mean, where do we go? We go knight D4. Well, I can go knight D3 simply, just do that, or maybe I can play bishop D7, and then rook E8 afterwards, and just play knight D3 when White goes A3. I mean, that would be, there's chances. I think there, definite chances. Hi, Shivant. Good to hear.
There. Are you playing today, Shivant?
Oh, Olivia is giving her king here some room on the giving her rook rather some room on the H file. This is not going to last long for black.
Yeah, so the immediate threat is rook H1, and then if the king goes across, and something like rook e6.
Check there, and then something like rook e6 with a discovered attack there. I think the one defense that you've got here is to go rook g7. And if rook h1, then you go king g8 there.
Yes, and then what do we have? So
probably the
we've even got like queen. Wait a minute. Queen. If we do queen b8, then there's queen c8.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what if we take? Can we take on e6 first?
Well, it's a little bit confusing because I think you can actually.
King's a bit exposed there. Yeah.
But if takes, we go queen b8, check, and we're winning that way. If queen e6, we go queen b8. And if we go something like rook h1, then we just go check.
And
so
that looks promising then. Rook e6 you can do.
That looks absolutely promising. So but I don't think there's another defense for black. I think rook g7 was more or less the only thing that looked vaguely reasonable. But if rook e6 is winning, then it's of course I mean c5 is also hanging. So there's some other possibilities there. But that would
yeah. Could you try and, this might be crazy, try and block off the h file with bishop to h3?
Yeah, I think we'll just take it.
Looks like you're too
and go
open to do. Yeah. I'm not surprised it doesn't work.
You're quite open. You're quite open on there. So I think that's going to be difficult. So expecting Olivia to bring home the bacon there, and then this position. Wow!
Look at this pawn ending. Is this the one? Which game is this? This is Georgia. Georgia headlong. Against
Hannah O'Reilly, a really bold move there. B5, but it looks like that could be winning, I think.
Oh, interesting. Winning for black.
Winning for black here because
because if you go c5, then the king just comes in. And if you take, the king can just come in as well.
Yeah, I mean, this looks can't stop the king getting to d4, and then we're going to take these pawns. So that looks like
these pawns. That was the game we looked at where she took bishop takes f6 and gave Hannah the John M's pawns.
Indeed, and actually there was quite a mistake there because White could have just played b3 and kept everything together really, but played this move b4, and this has given the opportunity.
Oh, Georgia! We've looked at this game twice, and both times we've said her move's a mistake. Oh. We've just hit it at the wrong times.
Indeed. That's just that's just one of the unfortunate things.
But I think we're seeing a lot of mistakes today, aren't we? In the games, I think it's. I
think you're seeing that people have had a break and they're just and I think that's.
I don't know about you, but my body clocks are kind of changed, and I find that sometimes around Christmas, and I suddenly get tempted to stay up really late, and then it feels like a different time of day. So they might have all got a bit out of sync.
Yeah, there's just so many good repeats on TV. That's knight c6. Yeah, this is looking very strong for White now. Really is. I think we're going to be going rook e1. Well, actually, this is actually threatening knight takes e7. Come to think of it, so for example, if you went rook b7, I could go knight takes e7 here because queen e7 allows f6 check.
Oh yes, yeah.
And I'm actually threatening. I mean, if it was just a pawn, you wouldn't worry too much. But I'm actually threatening e3 check as well, which is very very unpleasant as well. So I think this is.
Yeah, I thought it was swapping off to an endgame, but it's actually looking like it's quite a strong attack.
So Maria's gone rook b5. So I would really expect. I think I'd expect knight e7 now, to be honest. and I don't really see what black can do. I mean, rook b8, I go rook b8, I go queen c3 check. You go f6. I could even throw in knight c6 first of all, then just take here, take there. You know, it's just really looking very, very difficult for Maria there. So I suppose the only consolation is that well, Ketevan's down to 4 minutes, so it's a little bit
yeah.
It's a little bit risky, but still, you know, I mean, Ketevan should be able to do this very, very easily, I think.
Yeah.
So knight takes c7, the big move at the moment.
Yeah, I think I'll just go and guess.
Let's have a look. Horsey chess, looking good. In principle, only 1 pawn now for the piece.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure in there. How to do it? Just make sure you don't let that e pawn go.
Oh, king f6.
Yeah.
Oh, that's slightly strange actually. King f7 was what I was expecting. Simply just king h6. I go king g8, and king h8 just loses the pawns. But,
so if black does go back to king h6 now, you could just, if you want to be boring, you could just put your knight. Oh, okay. I was thinking just put your knight in on e3, and then you can get king. I think there's lots of ways to win this.
Yeah.
What's she actually aiming for here?
I'm not sure really, because I mean I could go king h8, and then you can't afford to take any pawns. So
you just don't want to, as long as you don't let that e pawn queen.
Now I'm just wondering whether is Zoe going for the hoping for the brilliancy.
I think so. Yeah.
King h6 here, e3 here, looking for knight g8 mate. Well, it's all it works actually, because you can take
yeah
king g6, and it looks all of a sudden like you've
messed it up. Oh, you got a fork on f4, knight b5,
and knight f4.
Thank goodness.
But it seems a bit risky really. So black's played king h6. So what's Zoe going to do? Knight d7.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's just gonna get a, if the e pawn goes, she's just gonna come back and put a knight in f3 maybe. I get
the feeling that the aim is that it's going to be here. It's a very cruel way of winning, to be honest. It's going to be here, and then maybe come back here all the way, you know, and grab
just come and take the pawn.
Take the pawn and then come back in again.
Well, so, it works.
It works indeed. But so let's have a look. What's happening here? This is well, it's a past a pawn. But yeah, this is obviously a bit of a tragedy for Lara, who just lost a rook when she was 3 pawns up. So white should play rook a6, of course. Stop that pawn from advancing, and probably try and line up on the 7th rank. Bring the rook to the 7th rank, and then just line up against f7. That should be more than enough to win the game there.
Yeah, this one should be fairly straightforward from here for white. Famous last words.
So Imogen did not fall for the trap, and played queen g7, knight e5.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a right old fight, this one. Where are we going to put the queen?
It's a good question, because that bishop covers the e2 square.
Yeah, so I guess f5 looks quite natural. I mean, you could go there then. You could go queen takes e5.
How does that all work? Let's see that. Queen takes e5.
So queen e5, I go knight f7 check.
Clear.
And takes, and then rook there. So that's really, really bad.
Yeah. And what about bishop takes?
Then I go check. Then you take. And I've got to work out a way.
So you couldn't play king h7?
Takes there?
Sorry, but instead of taking the knight.
Oh, golly, sorry, I completely missed that one. Oh dear me. Yes, no, that's definitely a serious option. Yeah, no, that's working. That's working, of course. So no brilliancy with Queen E5. Okay, well, yeah, you got to go Queen D4 here then. Oh, but this is starting to getting interesting. We've got some knight moves. We've got some knight forks. Yeah, I was wondering about playing here actually. So takes, then knight d3. So trying to hit b2. Knight f7. I'll just take with the queen there, and then I'll threaten the queen afterwards. So probably rook takes d3 is false, maybe.
Yeah.
Have to have a look at that. Bishop d3, king somewhere, a1.
Yeah.
And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, if you take here, you've actually got material parity, which is quite amazing, really.
Yeah. Yes, what you don't do is, I was about to just suggest Queen E5. You just don't want to do that.
No, but actually,
Bishop
d6,
yeah,
d6 actually forks these two, which is a bit unfortunate. Yeah, interesting with it. So f5. I mean, maybe, or could you even do it more cleverly? Could you go c5 first?
Okay.
Take away that square on d4, and now I want to play f5, basically. With your queen's actually got very few squares. That might be an idea. That's a possible idea, that one. It's yeah, I don't know. It's very how's the time situation looking? Black's played f5, queen d4. That was a very natural move.
Yeah.
I just wonder.
So the threat is not queen takes.
I'd like to play. Yeah, hard to. Oh, you just have the feeling if Black could just get the pieces just a little bit active, then you could do some amazing things. But it's not easy because White's got a little bind as well. Black's got a bit of a bind, but White's got a bit of a bind as well. And of course, these two pieces are quite awkward. They've got. You do actually have some reasonably big threats there. I mean, actually, White's actually got a threat now because White is actually threatening a knight there.
So knight there. What if you take it with the knight?
I could. So just say a move. Knight there. Yeah. If I take it with a knight, I will take on here, and I'll go rook d7. And you won't be able to defend it because I've got h8 queen as well coming in. So so that is actually a threat now. Could I was saying c5, but could I go here now still?
Same line, isn't it? Oh,
I can go queen f7 now, but then I can maybe go queen e5.
Check.
And takes.
And then we can take on, what are we threatening? We can take on c3. Oh, how's this? You kind of think it's going to be good for White, don't you?
This is a mess, but it feels awkward for White unless you're, unless you're mating, unless you're actually going to be mating somehow, which I don't think you are. It's that sort of feels quite decent somehow. So that could be a bit of a threat. So what could Black? Feels a bit unnatural. I mean, Black could go rook f8 simply, just to cover this square, but feels a little bit slow. Yeah, not sure. That's going to be it's definitely a tough one there for Black. Black's got 3 minutes left, so very complicated position this one. Yeah, I mean, if the C5 if the knight F7 idea works, then that's rather.
C5 looks tempting, doesn't it? It does look like the move you'd want to do.
It does, yeah. No, it does. It does feel like quite a good move, really. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. This knight F7 did look quite awkward for. Well, actually, come to think of it, just if I go. Just try and find. We'll just find. Oh, this no. We met elite player. Just find a. Well, here, I mean, if I go C5, takes, check. I can't believe it.
Take.
Oh, knight F7. Knight F7 it was. Sorry, yeah. That's that was the point. Sorry. That's a big difference. Takes. I could play this move, bishop b5.
Defending, yeah.
Just defending, and actually, yeah. I mean, then actually, it's not so. If I don't have a dramatic breakthrough with a bishop sacrifice or something, then
yeah.
Why would that
so it's exchange for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exchange for 2 pawns.
Yeah, I was wondering about going rook h6 or something, but the idea be I want to go rook g6. Threaten rook g8, and then if you take the pawn, I go rook h1 mate. But I could play bishop c6 here. Rook c6. Yeah, that could be still quite dangerous. But maybe after bishop b5, if it's not rook h6, maybe I just go rook here or something. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Black just tries to hold the structure and then just yeah, that's right, Mark. If the knight e5 moves, there is knight f7 for white. That's so just trying to. By the way, I've just seen that Olivia Smith has beaten Poisonous Mushroom.
Okay, yes, she had a two queens up. She had a good kingside attack there.
Oh, let's have a look. So Raylin.
How's Ketty doing?
Struggling a little bit there, I think. Ketty. She did indeed take on e7.
Oh, yes.
f6 was played, knight c6, actually more or less what we said here, queen b7 and rook f7. And now Ketty's got to try and find the way to finish it off, really.
What about just knight d8?
Knight d8 would be a very good way.
Materialistic.
And Ketty has played it.
Okay.
But I got that guess, of course. So
did you guess it?
So there we are. So this is looking, this is looking. Oh, indeed, Horsey Chess has done exactly what I said. She's come all the way back with a king in order to grab the pawn, and then she's going to come all the way back up.
One by one.
One by one.
Was it Bradley Walsh on The Chase? He just goes all day long. All day long. When it's like an easy question, all day long.
Yeah, let's have, so white's still a rook up, and bishop b5 to e8 is going to be quite difficult for Black to deal with. I mean, you can stop it with bishop b7, but you run out of moves in the end. So yeah, I mean, this should be a pretty easy win for white. c5 was played by Imogen. Wow.
She's done it.
She's done it.
Nice.
So
nice. So we're looking for, what did you say? Knight f7 straight away.
Knight f7, but queen a4 was played by Nina.
You'd be brave to play knight f7, wouldn't you?
Okay, but now, what have we got here? We've got
we've got D3 things coming in on D3, haven't we? Maybe.
Okay. Ooh, dear me. So let's have a look. We've got one idea would be to go knight d3. God, look at the time that these players have got. This is a real.
And if we do knight d3, does knight f7 now?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's got some more point, because after takes we could go bishop e2, and then just take off this this knight. And I think the resulting position is winning because you've got the queen on a4 and rook on d1, attacking this pawn on d7. If you see what I mean. So there, at the very least, you know, I've maybe got better, but I takes, and then rook takes d7. You know, so this would be really, really good.
Yeah.
Look, after knight f7, you could decide to take.
Yeah.
Take.
Yeah.
Now, if I go rook b2 check, you've got king a1, which seems to be fine. I was just wondering about going knight takes b2.
Yes. What happens now? Something take on queen d7.
Yeah, I think you've got to do something like this. You've got to get the queen well away from the rook. But I go.
There are 4 minor pieces coming in.
Knight d1 maybe. I can just go stuff like king a1 though. That's the thing.
What's as white presumably does have an immediate threat.
It doesn't have an immediate threat. So I mean, I could play a move like bishop e5 then. You know, an attack c3. Yeah, it's not. This isn't very clear. I mean, if king c2 is maybe interesting as well. But
I'm looking like a shogi move. Like you'd have to give up 3 pieces for it, so it won't be good. But like rook b2 and
yeah, the rook b2 was interesting, but I don't think it quite works. I mean, I come here, I give a check. I come here, and of course I've got a real threat now. That's the problem. But I think I could go just knight takes f2. So I'm threatening bishop d3, which is actually rather gorgeous and rather venomous. Actually, you'd have to give your queen up for that. So let's have horsey chess has won. That was what we were expecting.
Okay, yes.
Knight f7, but black didn't take. Black didn't play queen f7.
Okay, so
black takes h7.
Yes.
So
is this just good for white now?
This is the line that we saw with bishop takes e3. So this is just winning for white now.
Yes.
Bishop takes, we take. Takes there, and then takes there, and this is winning for white. Play, but I think I'm very unsure about this move queen f7. I think takes and knight b2. Because I mean, anything like queen a5, I've just got knight c4 really. So I think you have to take on d7.
Yeah.
And take on there. And king c2, I go knight f2.
Wait. What if you take on? What if you go on c4 instead of take on d1? So the king's blocking its own escapes. There's nothing.
I go there.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
And I've got an extra rook to deal with stuff. But if they're knight d1, so king c2, I go knight f2, and bishop d3 looks very tricky. And then so king a2, king a1, I go bishop e5. That's the key idea, threatening bishop takes here. And if you go like rook h3 to block it, you know, to defend it, then I go knight c3 and I'm threatening rook b1.
Yeah.
So and if you go king a2, well, then I do virtually the same. I think I can go. Or I can throw in bishop c4 check first. I mean, I can just go bishop c4 there and bishop e5. I think it was really strong. I think it was really strong. Takes knight b2. Trying to think how else.
Amazing.
I mean, the other move you could play is you could take on here, because unfortunately knight d1 allows queen takes b8 check.
Okay, so you better recapture.
You could go takes and rook d. Takes and rook g1 maybe.
Yeah.
That's very strong.
Yes. So we would have to go what, knight d1?
Whatever. I just come here. I just got the threat of rook g8. You're not going to be able to deal with it.
No.
Okay, so it looks like this beautiful idea was not working.
Because of the counter queen sacrifice, queen takes f4.
And then rook g1. Yeah, that looks very strong. So okay, queen f8 has been played there. But I think queen d7 here is really strong with a threat of rook h6, or maybe rook h6 first. That's also very good. Yeah. Amazing. Well, I think we've got another result here. So, oh yes,
Another black win.
Another black win for Hannah O'Reilly there. Secret
That was
Superstar.
the pawn endgame. Yeah. Okay. How's Trisha doing?
Yeah, Trisha's doing very well.
How's Raven doing?
Down. Yeah. So Queen E3 would have been very good. Queen H5 also good. So this might be a white win here because black just a piece down there.
Okay.
Regan was saying, wasn't she, that she was going to have a night shift on the 26th.
Oh, that's true. Yes. Yes. Her body clock would certainly have gone crazy.
So yeah, she was worried about whether she was going to be in good shape or not. Oh, I've just seen that Nina Pert has won that game.
Okay. Both
fantastic game.
Yeah, really exciting game there.
Really exciting there. So well played, everyone. Now let's have a look. White is still a
that's a rook up.
A rook up, rather. G5 will be very, very strong and is played as well. So that is just going to be a loss for black now, because actually you're in a bit of Zugzwang. You're going to get rook takes e6, so and the g pawn will march. So looking very strong there.
Ketty, how about?
Ketty is quite a few pawns up now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4 pawns up in a rook ending.
Okay, and it's and she just defends. Ketty just defends, and then
she hasn't got very much time, but obviously this should be
this should be fine.
This should be an easy win for white. So it looks like Ketty's going to go well, a point clear at the top with that win. Oh no, because Horsey Chess has got 3.5. So it looks like it's going to be Ketevan against Zoe Varney tomorrow.
Yeah, because Dagny's got 2.5.
Exactly, yeah, because she took a bye yesterday.
Yes.
So this is all being played very safe by Ketevan. There's no need for anything fancy. The rook's going to come to d4, and well.
Did Tashika Aurora? Did that one finish? Let's see.
Tashika. What was she playing? That's board 3. No, it's this one in actual fact. So Tashika's going to win this game against Lara.
So actually in the end, and Ketty's won already. So actually in the end, it's actually been very good for white today. It was looking at one stage like black was doing well.
Indeed, well played, Ketevan again. Hard luck, Maria. And actually, we're sort of looking for complete decisive results here. Because
just one game. Sorry, 2 games going, but
one game finished. Redin has resigned there, so
okay.
Hard luck, Raylin, and well played, Trisha. And now it's just for Tashika to finish this off, which I'm sure she's going to, and we will have had 100% decisive results.
Yeah. Everybody's come back from the holidays, the mini break, in fighting spirit.
Well, they always say that with the football on Boxing Day, then it's always crazy results and lots of goals because everyone's sort of lost track of things a little bit. I think this looks like the same effect, really. I think players have been a bit confused by the break, and there've been a few more blunders and sudden turnarounds, than we've been used to. But well, I mean, all wins, all decisive games. Can't argue with that.
Last game now, and this should be. You'll be over very soon, actually.
Indeed. Just
as Ciuskyte Aurora with her extra rook and pawn finishes off against Lara.
There we are. Nearly there. So bishop h6 is more or less the only move, I suppose. And then if you don't want to give up the pawn, you go king to g4 and king to h5. So
I'm going to quickly look ahead to tonight then.
Okay, yeah.
And tonight we are looking at the open section. And we've got a big matchup on board 1, which is GM Michael Adams against GM Matthew Turner. So Mickey's very, very strong, and Matthew's very strong too, and can be quite a tricky player. So this should be an interesting match. I think Mickey's favourite for sure. We'll see what happens there. And then we've got on board 2 Matthew Woodsworth against Peter Finn. So Matthew Woodsworth, very strong young player, and Peter Finn has just played 2 Grandmasters in a row. So he played, I think it was Bogdan, and then was it that order, Bogdan and then Mark Hebden.
And then Mark.
Yeah, and he got just looking up now, he got 1.5 out of 2 against those. And so he will be seeing what he can do. He's one of the qualifiers for the event, and we've been following his games throughout last week. And then on board 3, Gregor Toshek against Amit Ghazi, and board 4, Daniel Fernandez against Tanmay Chopra. And then on board 5,
yay, hack attack!
Hack attack, Thomas Villiers against Grandmaster Bogdan Lalic.
I'm looking forward to this one. I think this is going to be a good one.
I am too, because Tom will try and do opening traps, and presumably Bogdan won't fall into them at all. Peter could have beaten Bogdan. Yeah. I mean, he could have beaten Bogdan, and then he did beat Mark. He's having an amazing tournament, and yeah. So we've got a lot of good games tonight. Really looking forward to that.
And actually, Aurora
hungover for the football players. Yeah, well, I'm just wondering if the chess players will have some of the same. Yeah, the Open are lucky that they have their event in the evening, so they've got just that little bit of extra recovery time. But mind you, some of these are very young junior players, so I expect they won't have the same problem. That's what I didn't notice. Did the younger players do especially well today? I don't think we particularly saw that. It was kind of.
I don't think so.
But you see, the younger ones will stay up late because they're excited for Christmas, and so they'll have the same. I saw my son at 4 a.m. cooking Korean noodles or something. Yes, so my kids were not asleep at sensible times at all.
Yeah, and we'll. I'm just going to say that Toshika's won this game, and we'll actually be seeing her this evening because she's also playing in the Open as well.
She is taking on Declan Shafi, and actually another interesting lineup is Katarzyna Tomar against Mark Hebden. Should be an interesting game there.
Indeed, that's quite a tough one for Mark after his loss against Peter before, because Katarzyna with white is solid and experienced. So that certainly won't be an easy one. But we're going to be having a look at that, and also Alex Goss against William Claridge Hansen. William has played probably the most brilliant game of the tournament so far in the first round, and came very close to holding Mickey. Mickey was just too strong in the end, but still, I think William was holding parity for about 50 or 60 moves. And then William played a very good game against Zoe Varney actually as well. So yes. Another very crazy one with a rook g1 and g4 and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I mean he's definitely one to watch, I think, in the round this evening. But okay, thanks very much indeed for watching. Lovely to see you back. Lovely to see so many people back, and we'll see you this evening at 18:50 for the Open Championship.
Yep, see you later. Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching.